And the blue energies, sorry, I've just got to let the energy change. The blue energies that we're working with today, I feel pulled to the kidneys. We will work with the other organs, how they relate to it, but I feel pulled to the kidneys and a deeply constitutional and vibrational way that the kidneys are working, from conception through gestation, through childhood, through now, and the different patterns that we set up in the kidneys, which a lot of are social as well as educational. And I think the kidneys are, I hadn't thought about this before. But I think that the kidneys are becoming very confused in society at the minute. I don't want to get into the politics of it or the ideology of it, but the whole arena of gender identity, where it seems to me like children are almost being encouraged to be the opposite sex to what they are, and being encouraged to have operations, or it's being okay to take all of the terrible hormones, have these transfiguring operations to somehow change your sexual identity. This, for me, now I know everybody will have their own ideas on it, but for me this is just madness and part of the degeneration of society and the undermining of society. I think it's part of this globalist agenda where all of the borders are being opened, everybody's losing their sovereignty, multinational companies are taking over. It's like there's this, for me, I know everybody's got a different idea on it, but for me, there's an agenda going on from very rich and powerful people who want things to run in a certain way. And I think this gender disorientation, I hadn't thought about this until now, I think this gender disorientation is part of that. I think it's part of that. I think it undermines society, and I think it undermines people. I think it's beautiful to be a man with a feminine energy. I think it's beautiful to be a woman with a male energy. But I don't think a man is a woman, and I don't think a woman is a man. They may have a lot of the energy of the other sex, or an orientation to that, but I don't think they are fully that. Now I know, and I don't know if he was correct, I'm sure Dhiraj was wrong about a lot of things, and I'm sure Ayurvedic medicine is wrong about a lot of things, but Dhiraj, who brought through the Tibetan pulsing, which is similar to what we're doing. The kidneys were to do with how we perceive our sexuality, or that was one of the parts of the kidneys. And he was always slapping me in the kidneys because I was always saying, I want a woman, I want more women. Why aren't women attracted to me? And he said, because you've got this feminine energy about you. And he says, from your kidneys, you've got a charge in your kidneys and you're running the energy in a more female way. You can move the energy in different directions through the kidneys. And if you move it in one direction, according to Diraj, you will start feeling more female. And if you run it the other way through the kidneys, you will start feeling more male. And the physicality of the male genitalia moves it in the direction or corresponds with that male movement and direction of the energy. And the female genitalia and the physicality of the female tends to move it in the other direction and create this more female energy. But you can pervert that energy, you can move it in the opposite direction. Maybe your mother, like in my case, hates men. And you start acting more female, or you don't play out, you're scared to play out that masculine side, or the other way round. You can create your own genderism. So it becomes very dangerous to tell little children. I mean, some before they've even come to puberty. It's all right to be a girl when they're a boy. It's all right to be a boy. And putting it in their mind, and they can easily play with those energies. Then it gets very confusing. And then they think, well, what am I? Am I this? Am I that? And they think, oh, I'm a girl, I need an operation. And the parents aren't even informed. In America, the parents aren't even informed. So I think that's a disintegration of the basic structure of humanity, that male-female interaction. And that becomes relevant in the womb. The kidneys and the whole renal function is very receptive. It's got this blue energy, it's very receptive, and it's not just eliminating things out of the body. It is receptive to what the fetus needs as food. And it is the kidneys, the adrenals, the bladder, vagina, penis, urethra, this whole set of organs, but mainly the kidneys, are feeling that need in the fetus for nutriments. Not just, oh, we need food, but specific things that it needs for development. And it's this organism that communicates energetically that to the mother. And then the mother replies with the right nutrition. You know, you have to think about this. Mothers have all of these different cravings when they're pregnant. Nobody really thinks, oh, well, that just happens naturally. But if you see it as there's this very receptive quality to the kidneys, they want to they feel the need to receive it, so they make the communication, and that comes. And we're also going to be working with the interaction between the blue energy circuit and the fire circuit, and in this very early age, in 1-2 weeks in the womb. The kidneys, there are two tubes. There's the spine at the back. There are two tubes going down the whole length of the back, kind of from the cervical vertebrae right down to what will become the sacrum. There are two tubes, and this is like the whole renal function is in the whole length of that and moves to different areas of that. And also the ovaries and testes and uterus are in that as well, and there's this mirroring. You can see they're very similar. You've got the kidneys coming down two tubes into the bladder, down into the uterine virus. And you've got this uterine vagina penis. You've got the same thing. You've got the two ovaries, comes down two tubes into the uterus, and for the men, the testes into the prostate, and it mirrors it pictorially, and they also drop into the vagina and penis. So these two circuits mirror each other. But you've got these two tubes going down the back, which are this lovely blue of the blue energies, and this basic first impetus of receptivity to receive nutrition and life, and the intelligence of that interaction to be able to get exactly the nutrition you want. So you've got that in the blue circle. Then there's a tube down the front of the fetus, so it's just a tube at this age, and that is the aorta. And then you've got this, not just that the ovaries and testes are in these tubes at the back, you've got this communication mirroring each other between these two tubes, like these little tubules and cups come out to the aorta, so it filters. You've got the blood coming back from the mother down the aorta, feeding everything. You've got these little cups coming from the two. It changes names. I can't remember it changes name about 15 times, but I'm just going to call it these two blue tubes, which are already working like filters for the blood at that age. And there's this what I'm trying to give over is the feel of that initial receptivity and that initial interplay between wanting something, giving the message out, receiving that something is used, but then it becomes a toxin. It has to clear out. So the kidneys give out, I want, and I want to receive, but then they have to excrete what that changes into, and then that is passed back to the mother. This is also initiated in breastfeeding again, which is very similar to holographic breathing. It all mirrors into our sexuality, those same nerves through the urethra, through the vagina, through the penis, that are used for going to the toilet, are the same nerves that we're interacting in lovemaking and sex. So it's getting mixed together, and then that need through adolescence, I need to get laid, or whatever it is, or I need a partner, and putting that message out. And this is where the different gender identities are coming in, the different movements of energy between male and female. And this can become very confused, especially now with all of the education, with all of the, it's like it's almost meant that you're bigender, whatever they call it. You know, you expected to be that, you're expected to be the opposite sex or something, or that it's rather than being put down, it's exemplified. It's a really good thing. I think it's confusing the kidneys. And right into dance, where the man holds out his right hand and the energy runs in one way, the woman holds out her left hand, and the man holds round with her left hand, and the woman holds round with her right hand. And this creates, again, this circuit where the male is moving in the male energy of the circuit, and the woman is moving in the female energy of the circuit. So I don't know how to fix this or work with it. All we can really do is let those energies run through us in a natural way, however they run for us. And I can remember, 20, 30 years ago, working with the kidneys and the energies of the kidneys. And for me, it is, my energy is probably, through a patterning, I've learnt to be more female than maybe I naturally would be. Maybe. Okay, maybe. But working with the kidneys, I would feel this, that's homosexual. That energy coming up is homosexual. Maybe I'm gay then. And it doesn't mean I have to change sex or anything, or be actively gay. Maybe that is part of me. And then I'd feel it come up stronger and stronger. And then there'd be this very icky feeling. And then that would move through and go. And whatever that quality of being homosexual wasn't a physical thing. It was an energy that actually cleared after a bit. I'd somehow manifested that energy, and by working on the, it would clear through, and then afterwards there'd be a much more male, clear energy that would inhabit that area. And I'm not saying a male can't be female and a female can't be male. I'm saying what it was in my energies. But that transforms a place in me and improves the health of that area. And the kidneys and the whole renal function are central. They're central in the fetus. They're that first or second or combining with the blood. They're the primary energies that are manifesting right at the beginning, and they're the energies that we bring in. So it's an important energy and an important circuit. And I'm just blabbering away without really knowing what I'm meant to be saying. But it's significant for me, and hopefully after realizing, listening to that gallbladder meditation and the effect of that, I'm just tending to go much more in that direction and just talk, whether I know what I'm talking about or not, and then just run the meditation whether I know what we're doing or not. Now with the knowledge that when people are passing out, something powerful is going on anyway. So you know, dry fast has changed things of how I'm working. And that's another thing with dry fast. They are spiritual. I am changed. I feel changed. I feel like things, it's not just diseases leave. I think there's entities that are holding those diseases, and I think something to do with dry fasting, the entities leave, some spiritual, it is genuinely a spiritual thing. And the same thing that I've noticed, like with all of the cranial work I've taught, I'm thinking, how can people not know this? How can people who teach anatomy not know this? It's so simple, it's so obvious. And I think things are hidden in plain sight. And I think one of those things, you don't get much more simple. You don't get something much more ancient than dry fasting. You just don't. You just don't do anything. You don't eat, you don't drink, that's it. I think it's been hidden. I think this whole, you must drink water, when obviously the body actually produces its own internal water when you won't drink. You will die if you don't drink for 3 days. I think it's been hidden. That doesn't mean I'm not encouraging people to do dry fasting. You definitely have to research it first. You definitely need to be on a good diet. You definitely need to go about it in a slow and structured way. But I think it's one of these things that have been hidden.